Welcome everyone to this week's Tim Talks. As we love the video, we're going to play it again. Absolutely. I am so very honored to have my dear friend, Glenn Pasche, on with us. If you caught the pre-talk yesterday, you know that that Glenn has obviously does a great job. One of the true leaders in automotive. But he is a dear friend, and occasionally I may, he truly helps me because I sometimes need calming down when things happen in life, and Glenn is that person for me a lot of times. So with that, man, Glenn, welcome to Tim Talks.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate being here.
Awesome. Am I, wanted to make sure we had a little technical difficulty. Hey, listen, we're gonna dive right into it. And historically, Tim Talks was never created to be self-promoting of Car Now. We truly wanted to be industry thought leaders, helping dealers, but obviously this topic today is right up our alley. As we continue to onboard almost 200 dealers every single month, we get a lot of data. We have the ability to see a lot of things done right, a lot of things that we should have corrected. And you and Brian, I believe, have a consulting piece. I believe it's under the arm of PCG, is it not?
Yeah, it depends. It's under BPE or PCG. One of the two.
PCG, any acronym. Bottom line is, if you need Glenn's help, because we're going to give you some really good stuff today, and I'm sure this is going to be, as it always is, posted and reposted on several social media outlets. But Brian and Glenn have a consulting arm that if you are a dealer or a GM or a GSM and you want or you need help consulting, he is there for you. So we're going to unpack that. We're just going to dive right in and talk about the missing pieces, what dealers sometimes forget that is absolutely detrimental to the success of your digital retailing tool. So with that, welcome, Glenn.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here. As I said, you get to lead today because you were kind enough to be on my podcast, You're in Charge Now What? And we had a great conversation there. So thought I'd jump over here, and thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. And that piece we could talk about for years and years and years, because the whole leadership model and is what makes everything go. But man, let's just start with what dealers are forgetting. What are you seeing? I mean, you see as many sometimes dealers, obviously the conferences that you and your brother put on, I have personally watched. I can remember almost 5 years ago now, the Automotive Engagement Conference, as we were like a little traveling carnival, as we went town to town to town to town, and there was about 6 or 7 vendors, and we were one of the originals, as we went town to town to town trying to get better together. And now it has just absolutely exploded. Last year in person, 300 or 400 people there. DMSC, 650 people in the lobby alone, and it's just exploding. So congratulations on you and all of your success. But let's talk about, what are dealers missing? What are we, with all this DR and everything is launched 10 years ahead in the last 10 months. So what are people missing? I'm just going to shut up and let you lead now.
Well, I think there's a few I would say misconceptions, or dealers have this odd perception. Now, I think all of us are sick of the words digital retailing.
Yes.
you can call it modern retailing, you can call it online retailing, but at the end of the day, I think this is just a new way that customers are moving towards engaging with dealerships, being able to do more of their process online. So whatever you want to call it, I don't really care. I just think that one of the biggest mistakes is some dealers are putting off embracing this because they, one, don't think there's many people who want to buy a car fully online, and I agree. And I'm sure you have definitely, you shared with me some data on that. So it's, to me, it's not about that. They're saying, well, we're not Carvana and we're not Vroom. Okay, but if you look at Carvana and Vroom, how many cars did they sell last year? 200,000. So they're really not your competitors, but what they are bringing up to consumers is this concept of convenience and ease. And that's the biggest mistake. If you're waiting to think that you're just, when I do this, I'm going to have hundreds of people now are going to buy online, you are sadly mistaken. Maybe 5 years from now, who knows? But you should be thinking about, how can I make it easier for my customer to do business? That's the biggest mistake you're making. You're looking at the wrong end of the equation. You think it's about sales. It's not. It's about the process, making it easier and faster, and mostly online, because that's what customers are used to with every other e-commerce platform or business. And if anything that COVID has taught us, we do a lot of shopping online. We do a lot of things. Even now that we can go back to stores, we do a lot of research, a lot of process online, and now there's curbside pickup for everything. There's people who will do shopping for us. Eventually, that's what people want to do. I want to come test drive the car, and that's pretty much it. Now, can I get out of here in about a half an hour? I'm a happy man.
Yeah, I mean, what are dealers, in your opinion, and I have my own opinion, and we have our own data, but what are they most reluctant to let go of? When you maybe, and it's probably not a dealer that signed up for your consulting deal. I think it's 60, is it 60 days or 90 days?
It's a 60-day, it blends, but it's usually 60 days, depending on where they are in the process. And also, again, do they have to put the tool on the website? A lot of different things, but 60.
So what are you seeing? Probably not one of those guys or gals, but what are you seeing that dealers are most reluctant to let go of, or what is that final thing that they just can't, that final piece that they just can't go all in? I mean, what is that with the dealers that you can
price? It's sharing numbers. It is still the fear of, if I share numbers over the phone or through email, that customer is going to shop me. If they're going to shop you, they're going to shop you anywhere. But I just look at them, any dealers that we've talked to, whatever stage they were in, what happened when your dealership was shut down during COVID, right? I'm in New Jersey. All the dealerships, showrooms were shut. Right. Dealers scrambled to, if they didn't have the technology, like, CarNow on their site, phones ringing, I need this. Why? Because they had to figure a way to sell a car online, over the phone, be open with that type of over email negotiation, because that's the only way I can do it. So as one dealer said to me, dealers shared more information online and, through email and phone over the last 3, 4, 5 months than they did 30 years. But they sold cars that way. And funny enough, because I think during COVID, staff reductions meant that the managers had to handle the negotiation, because usually in the store, the salesperson would start, run over to the desk, get a manager, TO, come on over, and there would always be these extra layers of process. Now I'm talking right to the person who can make decisions on the money. And guess what? Managers understood, if I go back and forth too many times with you over email, you're gone. So they had to do, here's my price, maybe one time back and forth, and they sold. And guess what they found? Grosses were higher, customers were happier, and all of a sudden they went, whoa, if I actually do give you a good price and am respectful and don't do back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, I sell cars faster. I don't give them a reason to go to somewhere else. So I think it's always that. But those that have embraced it actually are surprised that they actually sell more because the customer's reaction is, you're the only one who gave me numbers. So then why am I going to go down the street and play games when you're actually answering my questions?
Absolutely. There's many dealerships. We're averaging with the dealers we talk to anywhere between $200 and $300 higher PVR on the deals that come through our tools. There's one dealer group that's averaging over $400 higher on the ones that they and again, measure. Don't believe any vendor. Don't believe CarNow.
Right.
Don't believe any vendor ever. Obviously that helps, but make sure that our report, your report, everybody's report coincides with your Google Analytics, your VistaDash, your Clarivoy, however you're measuring yourself. But when you pull that subsource report, it's a pretty easy measurement to see all of those that are tagged through your DR tool. So if you are a dealer or a GM or a GSM and you're just reluctant, maybe you're in a high volume, a Toyota store or a Honda store, and you're like, everybody is triple net, please reach out to myself, Tim@carnow.com. Glenn at pcgcompanies.com. And we'll be happy. Look, if you don't believe us, we'll be happy to put you in front of those dealers. Obviously, we'll make sure that they're not competitors with you. But guys, there's several things, at DMSC, I said on one of the panels, there are several things that we have learned from COVID that are not debatable. Not debatable. The data proves what we're saying, and it's just been fascinating to see our industry grow probably 7 or 8 years in the last 10 months. What is one of the, and we didn't talk about this before, but can you give us kind of a success story? And then could you give us maybe a story that didn't go so well? And they don't have to be, once upon a time long ago, but just give us the Reader's Digest version of coming in and changing some things around. I know cleaning up the VDPs, making it simple, branding the promise, branding is huge. If you're putting a digital retailing tool, whoever it is, on your site, and you're not branding it and the experience, you're missing the boat. But maybe give us, a win that you were just
there's 2 or 3 that pop to mind. One was, all in, did the whole 60-day branding, branded the process, merchandised the website, cleaned up the VDPs, worked with the technology that they had to make the adjustments, worked with the team to change their communication processes. So again, these are all these different steps, and I'll be going into detail at AAAS next week on a workshop with this, the 10 things that you need to do this. We're going through this in this 60-day program, and they were selling cars. They moved to number 1 in their market. All of a sudden, then COVID happened and they had some other issues. But what happened was they changed the leadership in the dealership and got rid of everything. It was successful. Wow. And they just said, we don't want to do it. It was gone. Now, we've had other dealers that I just got an email from him, and he said, since we put this in place, since we've been able to get our team to buy into it, just what he said, selling more, record months, higher grosses, customers now are starting to call up and ask for the promise, the brand promise, and saying, hey, I want to know about that, or how do I get that? Because they started seeing it. And then, like I said, we've had other ones that we started down the road. We worked with Nissan for 1.5 years to build their modern retail playbook that every dealer has. Brian and I did that. So every Nissan dealer has it. But in the pilot program, we started down the road with one dealer, and he was all in until he got pushback from his team, who was saying, man, we're selling cars, we don't need to change. And so they allowed the managers or the salespeople to say, we don't want to do this. And leadership was not strong enough to say, no, I'm not thinking about today. I'm thinking about next year. I'm thinking about 2 years from now. We need to evolve, or else we're going to be chasing it and be behind. But they were selling. And so they just said, you know what? We're going to stop. We don't care. I'm busy. Because again, it was that mentality of, well, these changes, Tim, how many cars are you going to sell me next month? And as you know, this is a process. This is a, cultural change of changing a lot of different things than just this tool, and you can't measure it that way. So again, we've had people super successful who knew leadership, toss it, other ones who are just loving it. Their customers are loving it. And the key is the salespeople love it because they can sell faster, happier customers, and move on to someone else. And now all of a sudden, all their salespeople are going, hey man, we're all selling 5 cars more than we were. They're making more money. So that's where we're at.
So, it's in guys and gals in the dealership world right now listening, and those of you that are about to listen, my friend, I was talking to my friend, Jonathan Dawson, who I know, dear friend of mine as well, was on one of the very first Tim Talks when all this started. And, he said, Tim, it's very difficult to try to go out and teach people how to fish when fish are jumping in the boat. And, right now, ladies and gentlemen, business is phenomenal. Fish are literally jumping in the boat. People are spending money. The incentives are great. This December, I remember the doom and gloom in the beginning when the SAR, when JD Power projected the SAR to be so much lower, and where we're at now. And now they're projecting December to be some cases 2x and a little over 2x of what it was last December. And the thing is, and look, those of you that know me or have ever heard me speak before, I am definitely, I can't even watch the news. No, I don't care what channel it is. I can't have negative. I'm not that guy. So I'm not preaching doom and gloom, but you have to be wise. You have to understand that you have to prepare yourself for what may be a slowdown in the next, several months. Hopefully there's not. Hopefully it goes on for another 10 years. But historically, we know it's going to slow down. And these things you have to put in place. I'm going to put it to you this way. I've used this example many times, and I think, Glenn, you've heard me say it. It's like Starbucks. Starbucks came out several years ago with an app. And that app, some people live and die by it. One of my partner and founder, Andy Park, every morning as I'm talking, he clicks on his app, and as he goes and picks up his Starbucks. I mean, that's just what he does. But at the same time, and people love it. People love that app. But at the same time, how many times have all of us all across the country driven by a Starbucks and had nobody in line? People are still going. So my argument is make sure that your processes and procedures are down. Cast a wide net to where that person that still is. There's a lot of people that, elderly people with conditions that are still not wanting to go out. And that's okay. When you have the ability, I mean, man, we learned so much, Glenn. I mean, we were selling cars in the state of Kentucky when salespeople were not even allowed in the store.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
absolutely. That was the same with New Jersey. And to your point, it's not that it's the evolution of this, as you're saying. It's expanding your ability to serve a customer base that's evolving. So, that's where part of the idea, one of the mistakes dealers make with this whole idea of branding it and marketing it and explaining to customers what your process is and how much time it's going to save them, what's in it for them. Because 3 years ago, when my lease, right, I tell the story, my wife just got a new, her lease was up. This didn't exist 3 years ago. But anyone who bought a car this year under any restrictions due to COVID, to your point, salespeople were not in, we had to do everything over line. Those people who bought that way are never going to want to buy a car a different way. So 3 years from now, you have to be prepared. And what their expectations are, should be better, should be faster, because you had 3 years to figure this all out. So again, I'm not saying everyone's running to this right now, but it is this concept of just being honest with yourself as a dealer and business owner. I do it for myself, for my own company, to always say, how can I make it easier for people to do business with me? That's it. Is your process easy? Is it still frustrating? Because again, even if you don't want to do it, someone in your market may be doing it. And then word is going to be, hey, go down there because it's easier. At least start there. It's easier. You may not like the car, but boy, that's a nice, easy process over there. And that's what you have to start thinking about it's not going to fall off a cliff, but it's going to whittle away at your opportunities when people are going to come in and expect some sort of ease or ability to do some things online to save me time, and you're not doing it, that's where you're going to lose.
Yeah, we were talking earlier before the show, just a little chit chat, and I like what you said, and that's what we believe at CarNow is, a digital retailing. Everybody thinks, and I've said it 1,000 times, calculators. Ladies and gentlemen, don't get confused. Calculators do not create brand loyalty. Calculators do not sell cars. Conversations do. Let me say it again. Conversations do. So you were talking earlier, a big push that you guys have been making for the past year that we listened to. You and Brian called vendors out a year and a half ago and said, why do we have all these forms on websites, so on and so forth. So taking the forms off the websites, but we have when one of the companies, I know my friend Joe Chura at Dealer Inspire has done the same about a year ago. But again, something else that is, I'll say this, is not debatable. Taking forms off your website. So I think that's important. So walk that through. Everybody's heard me say it, whether it's get e-price, schedule a test drive, pre-qualify, whatever it is, but everything has to flow into a quote unquote digital retailing experience. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, it's see, and I think when dealers hear that, it has to flow into a digital retailing experience, that freaks them out.
Yeah.
Okay. So
word it better for me.
I want to take
me like how Ann does and wordsmith me.
Well, here's the way I look at it: as you have two areas where customers can come visit you. They can come on your lot, and we already have a process for that, meaning that we'll answer every question when you're standing on the lot. The mentality is that's a real serious customer because they're here. Now, part of it is they're there because you didn't answer them on your website. So that means I got to come down and see what's going on, or you wouldn't give me all the information. So I got to come down and see you. But if you think about your website in just a very simple manner and say, if somebody, why can't someone get an answer right now on my website when they have the question? So again, think about it. I have a question. Can you tell me about this vehicle? Or same thing, ask a question, whatever the question is. I click on the ask question button because I have a question and a form pops up, which means now I have to submit my form and I have to wait. So I go back to my life. I go back to feed the kids. I go pick the kids up. I'm doing this. I'm back at work. And all of a sudden, now my phone rings when it's not convenient for me, but it's convenient for you as a dealer to go, okay, I'll go answer Tim's question. Once you turn around and you think about that and say, well, that's sort of odd. It was convenient for the customer right now, and I had a question and I ignored them. So think about on the lot. I walk up to a salesperson and say, can you tell me about that car? And they say, give me your name and I'll call you tomorrow. First off, it's ludicrous. You'd fire the salesperson, but that's what you're doing. So we can wrap it with conversational commerce and we can say it's just the fact that why are we making it so difficult to get answers? If you don't want to give price, great. We're not even talking about that. But why is it hard to schedule a test drive with a form? We have technology where a calendar could come up and somebody could pick, or why wouldn't I want to talk to somebody and start building the relationship? Oh no, Glenn, because I need their name and their email. Well, if I chat with that person, what am I going to end up with? Their name and their email or their phone number. Why? But what else did I get? I started to build a foundation of a relationship to start selling them on the car and how great the car is, which is what we do when they're standing in front of us. So again, wrapping it all up, it's not even a digital, it's just common courtesy is that somebody has a question and we go, nah. And that's where Joe Chura, other website platforms are pivoting and dealers are going, oh, and if you don't believe me, here's a simple thing. Dealers who are listening right now, managers who are listening, if you go, well, Glenn, I'm not really sure about that. Okay, go back and look last month, 2 months ago. How many showroom visits did you have without an appointment? How many people just walked up? Then go look at how many people visited your website. 10 times, 20 times, whatever you want to. If you go, well, Glenn, they were just shopping. Go look at how many people clicked on ask a question, get today's price, schedule a test drive where you popped up forms. Count those up versus showroom visits. And I'll bet you anything, it's at least 3 to 4 times your showroom visits. And then go ask your salespeople and say, if you had conversations with those people, how many people could we have set appointments? All of a sudden your brain goes,
That was amazing. That was good. That is so true. Another thing that I would add that most people don't do, when is the last time you from your home or through a different, not even an email, try to buy a car on your own website? Try to get information, maybe it's your cousin, maybe it's your neighbor, sit down and how is that experience, and how, the technology is there now to where, and you said it much better than I was quick to say, DR, what I meant to say, as you said much better, how do customers buy a car? Do most customers busy, have got to pick up the kids, I got to go pick up dinner, whatever it is, they sit down in front of the computer, they got 15 to 20 minutes, maybe they get a e-price or an online or whatever the branded message is. Maybe they get that. Then maybe they come back and they look at a car. Then maybe they come back. No one, very, very seldom does someone sit down in front of the computer for 20 or 30 minutes and I'm going to buy a car and click and done. That's why it's so important that we have seen, just like AAAS last year, when we actually had, don't believe TIMTALKS, we had dealers on the stage at Park Chevrolet, 129% increase in lead conversion. Guys, it's not debatable. It's not debatable.
You're just having, goes back to what you're saying. Why wouldn't I want to have more conversations? Now, to your point, and I want to make sure people don't gloss over what you said, was if you're a dealer or a manager in the store, don't you go home and try to buy a car on your own website, because you already know the glitches, everything. Go talk to a friend that you trust, give them just give them 3 models and say, go find, could you find the information that you wanted? Was it easy? And then also ask them, could you tell me why you should do business? Did my website tell you why you should do business with me? And that's where they may say, oh, this was easy, but this was hard. Or was there, TrueCar did a great study. I can't remember I think it was not DMSC virtual. It was the year before when we were still in Napa.
I remember it.
Where they said, they did their chart where they said, what are things that customers want to find, want information on, but are hard to find? And that was really eye-opening, because it was simple things that you would take for granted, but I had to dig for it. It was hard. And a lot of it was getting answers to those questions, which meant that because you threw up a form versus being available right then and there to go, hi, what can I help you with? And all of a sudden people go, ooh, someone's actually talking to me. And you're like, yep, what can I do for you? And you start building the relationship. And more importantly, you give them a reason not to go down the block to another dealer, to not go get frustrated and go to another website, versus all of a sudden it's like, whoa, someone's here to help me. Someone's answering my question. And that to me is really what this whole digital retailing is just breaking down barriers online and start treating our customers online as serious customers, as serious buyers. Like, because again, I go back to my wife and I, her lease was up. Like, we put it off as long as we could, because I just was like, okay, I'm not going to think about it. But once I sat down and thought about it and started research, and we were looking and we got, things from people, it was the same thing. When you want to come in, when you want to come in. I was like, I wasn't ready to come in. I just want somebody to answer my question. But it's this mentality of, well, I'm not serious. But you have to again take a step back and go, well, why else would I be on your website if I wasn't serious? Sometime in the next, let's say 6 weeks, call it 6 weeks. Why else? If I just bought a vehicle or I don't need a vehicle, an average consumer is not just going, I'm going to go walk around a car lot this weekend, or I'm going to go online and shop, unless you have to. So everybody's serious who is on your website. The problem is we only want serious, meaning can you come in today serious and buy a car today serious? Everyone else is high funnel, mid funnel, versus going, everybody's serious. Let's get as many conversations going. And I want to build that relationship with you. So when you're ready in 6 weeks, I'll stay in touch with you every single week. I'll help you. But if I don't, and I only think that you're serious when it's now, to your point, you lose. And that's why I said, go back and just go in your analytics and see how many people over the last couple months clicked on all of those forms, and then go see how many people you actually talk to, because you're probably talking to 20% of them, and then only half of them are going to appointments and half of them are going to show up and maybe you will sell them, versus going, well, why wouldn't I want to talk to all of them when it's convenient to them? That's why you don't get a lot of conversions and conversation, because you missed your opportunity.
1,000%. I was talking to a dealer yesterday, and I'm hoping to have him on, but I do not have his permission to I didn't ask him permission to share these numbers, so I'm not going to tell you who it is. And if he comes on Tim Talks, obviously we'll share. But I was talking, he had, it's a Toyota dealer in Florida. That's all I'll tell you. Had a record month last month, a record month last month. And you might say, well, a lot of people are doing well over, I think it was nearly 600 new cars, if I'm not mistaken. And it's somewhere around there, but between 500 and 600 new cars. He has 7 salespeople, 7. You know how many people he has in the internet department, by the way, that are cradle to grave? 37. So he gets it. He gets it, because when I didn't get it, it took a while until we started building Car Now in our dealership, 6 years ago. What would happen? Because even in our store, I would have 500 or 600 people walk through the front door every single month. But I would have 18, depending on the campaign or whatever AdWords we bought, 18 to 22,000. Well, this particular general manager gets that. So therefore, why in the world? And hold on, light bulb just went off. Light bulb just went off with my little noisemaker. I mean, think about that. Maybe we're getting it all wrong. So this guy just set a record in Florida in a high, it's a Toyota, which is a high volume OEM. And he inverted everything. Instead of flooding the floor and everybody waiting on us, he has a monster internet department, because he knows he's going to get 5, 6, 7 times as many people that comes to his website, his branded promise. And therefore those internet people are going to take it cradle to grave. And he only has 7 salespeople.
Well, but to my point, that's what I was saying, is that it's the reverse. You've staffed your online, you staffed your retail, your dealership lot, because that's the way we always did it. And that's fine. It's just now we have another, just think about visually again, you have two dealerships side by side. Here's your regular one and here's your virtual one. And you have everybody on the virtual, everybody in the real store, and you only have a couple people over on the virtual, but their lot's flooded with people. And you're looking going, God, I wish we could be that busy, but you just are not staffing it correctly. And you're letting all of these people go away, because again, you make it hard, your structure of your website. As I said, websites are evolving. I'm so excited with a lot of the new platforms and how they're getting that and saying, let's strip it down. Let's make it easy. Let's break down all these barriers. And then you do have dealers who are going, wait a minute, where are all the people? All the people are online. Why are we not making it easy for our team to talk to them? Because every time I've dove into this whole process and we start looking into how they're handling their opportunities, I have yet to meet a staff that once they start having conversations with people, they don't get the appointments that they need, or they can't sell the car, right? They do that. The problem is they keep going, well, why are these people ghosting me? And why aren't they answering my phone? And I just go, because you ignored them when they were ready to talk. You ignored them when they were ready to ask you a question. And now you're going over there, and guess what they're saying? You ignored me. When it's convenient for me, I'll reach back to you again. Like, once you do that, like you said, once you grasp that, all of a sudden you go, oh, man, I could be having more conversations. And that, going back to your simple thing, the more conversations, that's all you should be thinking about, is how can I get more conversations with those people that are already on? Think about that. Like you said, 18,000. If I could get 10% of them, and that's low, right? Because there's more of those people who click the button. But if I could have conversations with 10% of those, and I went to the dealer and said, if I could get 1,800 more people to chat or call your dealership, would I be doing a great job? Would you like that? What do you think you could do with those 1,800 conversations? His eyeballs would be like, where do I sign? And I'm going, well, it's already there.
Every
You
day.
have them. You just made it difficult for them to talk to your people. And all of a sudden you go, whoa. And that's where that's where I said that this whole concept of digital retailing goes in this silos. Oh, it's all technology. No. Oh, it is an end-to-end situation of just saying to yourself, how can I talk to more of the people who are on my website? Where are there obstacles where I'm throwing obstacles up to make it hard? So that's a combination of forms. Then you go, okay, well then what? Now that can dictate the tool that you want. So now you're going to say, great, well, I'm going to have more conversations. Well, then I'm going to have a chat. Then if you say, well, now I want to have a digital retail, well, then if that's your philosophy, well, then go look at the tools that are built on top of a chat. Or if you say, well, no, I want to do it this way, great. But once you understand what you want your customers to get, the experience, and how I want to remove obstacles, then you start dictating the technology and the process and how I'm going to set it up. But it has to start with, how can I stop making it hard for all these people who are on my website to talk to me?
We have a question, and which by the way is why 6 years ago, everything we've built is all, the foundation is the conversation. You know, a stat that I think I've shared with you before, we looked at 300,000 conversations, 300,000 conversations. The one that clicked the calculator, okay, they're completing at about 4-5%, just like every other provider. When they have one conversation, they're completing at nearly 13%. It's a 250% increase. It's a no-brainer. Josh Armstrong, I want to ask his question. He's been waiting a while. He asked, and I'm going to let you answer this, Glenn. Do you recommend locking pricing to get more leads or allowing customers to work their deal before submitting their info? Now, obviously, that depends on your OEM. If you have MAP pricing, first of all, you're going to be forced to get that information up front before you can unlock. But go ahead and take that. Locking, I'll read it again. Do you recommend locking pricing? Let's just assume this dealership, or this is a pre-owned store or an OEM that does not have MAP pricing.
Right.
Locking pricing to get more leads or allowing customers to work their deal before submitting their info.
Okay. So I'm not a fan of locking price or making it difficult. It depends on, again, if you're branding out there that you're going to make it easy and fast, and we let you do as much or as little online, and then we'll pick up where we left off, then you can't put the gate. I call it form gate. You can't put the gate right at the beginning, right? That's the equivalent of, hey, I'll give you a price for your trade. And as soon as I click the button, it says, well, I can't give it to you till you tell me your name. I'm like, well, you just misled me. So I think there's, again, going to Tim, if you don't have to, if it's not MAP pricing, I would let people get into it. Now, I would make sure that, one, I'm tagging all the buttons on the process so I can look and see how many people are moving or how many people only wanted that. I would make sure I have a remarketing and retargeting strategy for people that start something and then disappear. I want to go chase them around. But there might be a logical point, and this is where if you've documented all the steps, to be able to maybe move the steps around. But most people want to play around with their price, right? That's their first thing. Can I afford this? Does it fit my budget? And then value my trade. What am I going to get for it? Now, once somebody gets past that, or maybe, if somebody's sitting there for a long time and on there, maybe you pop up a chat. Instead of forcing form gate, maybe you time it. If somebody's in the tool for a minute and hasn't really moved around to that, maybe you pop up a chat and say, hi, can I help you? I see you're using our fast lane tool. Can I help you with something? And maybe you can pull them out of the tool and then you have a conversation. Maybe, but I always would say, look for the logical place where someone who is starting to be more serious, right? Once maybe they picked incentives or they're calculating taxes. Now you're starting to get like, okay, we're further down. Then I see no problem with, hi, send this in, give me your name, and I can really finalize things for you. But I personally, just every single time I've played around with tools where it's like, hey, get today's e-price. Well, who am I sending this to? It's like, I'd rather you pop up a chat. If you're on that, I'd rather have somebody say, hi, I'm Glenn here over at the dealership. I see you're interested in your e-price. Who am I talking to? You know, like Tim. Hey, Tim, not a problem. Let me just work this price. Today's price for this is, by the way, what's your phone number? I can text the price right to you, or hey, let me email it to you. I'm going to get your name anyway, but I'm helping you do it. I'm giving you.
And it's
what
all in the delivery. You know, we've got so many guys. Again, we 300,000 of these. And Josh, if you want to reach out to me, please email me at tim@carnow.com. I'm looking through some of these anyway. The reason is so for example, it's all in the delivery. Right? It's all in the digital delivery. So if you are in a store, for example, like a Toyota store or that has map pricing, that you have to, one of the big wins when we took the forms off the website, for example, in Toyota stores, hey, listen, I'll be happy to give you that e-price. What's your cell phone? They're already on your website or they're already on their mobile phone, right? Sure. But mentally, hey, what's your cell phone number? And I'll be happy to text that right over to you. So they give you the cell phone number. It's a quick prompt with a name and a cell phone number. So you're not really, you're getting, I don't want to say you're getting around map pricing, but you're getting name, you're getting cell phone number, and you're immediately getting that unlocked price and you're taking them on down the funnel. If you're not a map price, I'm just telling you best practices. We've handled hundreds of thousands of these things. It's the old golden rule. Do unto others as you want to do. You do unto others as you want to shop. So when you give them a little bit in the beginning, then it's easier for them, just like Glenn said, as they go further down the process, then to ask them for these things. I was talking, in fact, I see him on here, which I won't say his name because then you'll know his dealership, but I was talking to him yesterday. And by the way, you know who you are, and I'm going to get you on Tim Talks hopefully pretty soon because you do a freaking phenomenal job there at your store, and everybody's pulling at your coattails wanting to figure out how you're doing it. But, one of the big things with our brand new user experience that we were sharing with him was the glue, the whole digital retailing thing. There's not a deal until you got glue. Let's just be honest. If it's a full soup to nuts deal, and at that time, and when I've given price and I've given estimated payments, and obviously you've got your disclosures now, I've given trade, you've got your payoff, at some point, give me a deposit, give me some kind of glue, and let's move forward. Because the technology is there where we can click, 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 click. Here's the paperwork. Sure. Down the road, motors you go. Glenn, we're coming against it. We've got to land the plane, brother. I'm going to give you just some final thoughts to a dealer because I'm looking at there's several dealers on here that already do a freaking phenomenal job. Some people are putting their toe in the water, but talk to that person that's thinking about it right now, and I'll let you land the plane.
So thank you. So Tim, thanks so much for the opportunity to be here. This has been fun. And as you said, we could go on for hours. So there's a couple things. Even if you're doing it well, if you just want to bounce around ideas, just reach out to me. But for those people that are going, should I do this? The answer is yes. It doesn't mean you have to change everything today. But again, you have to just start with the philosophy of where on my website am I making it hard for the customers to get answers to simple questions. Just start there. And then that conversation leads to, well, what experience do I want my customers to have, which then will influence the technology you have and how you want to staff. Then you can get to the marketing of it and the branding of it. But you really just have to look at it as you are losing opportunities today because you have 10 times, 4, like Tim was saying, I mean, it could be 10 times, 20 times the amount of people on your website as you have walking in your door without an appointment. And you're ignoring them, or you're just making it hard. I wouldn't say ignore. You're just making it hard for them to reach your people. So if you want to sell more, going back to Tim, you got to have more conversations. Yeah. How do you have more conversations? You have to logistically look at your website and say, I have to take the dive of removing a couple forms. Not all of them. Maybe start with ask a question, schedule a test drive, test it out. Then you can start saying, okay, we're going to go down through a conversation of a tool. Just understand you're not, to Tim's point, even with a conversation, only 10% of the people are really doing all the way through soup to nuts. That means 90% just want to speed it up. They just don't want to spend 4 hours in the dealership once I point to the car and go, that's the one I want. That's what you have to think about. And so again, if you just want to bounce ideas around, just reach out to me. If you want some help, we can talk about that as well. But we've had successes, and I can just point you to the dealers who've dealt with us over 60 days. And also understand it's me and Brian who are doing the consulting work. It's not our team. Brian and I are the ones who are working with the dealers. I do a lot of it. Brian will start out. He handles some of the ideas for marketing, but I'm the one who's working with you day in and day out to get this all done and put together. And I did want to say one thing. Next week is our conference, AAAS 2020. It starts Monday through Wednesday. I am going to be diving into this. Tim's going to be there. There's going to be a lot of great new focus on attribution and measurement about digital retailing and about, in general, Facebook changes, things of that nature. So again, if you would like to attend, we have a discount code you can use at the website. You can go to Automotive Analytics and Attribution Summit. You can type that in. Tim will throw in the link, but you can just use PCG50 and that'll get you 2 tickets for the price of 1. Bring some people there. And what's great is we record the whole conference and you will have access to all that content for 75 days. That means all the way through the end of January, vendor face-offs, all of this stuff, great stuff. So again, I just want to do that, but don't hesitate because people are already doing it in your market and customers want it easier. So the question is for you, do you want to make it easier for your customers, or is it just easier for you the way it is? That's fine, but understand you will start losing business over time. Not today, but a year from now, 2 years from now, there's going to be more people making it easier for customers to buy a car. Do you want to be the one that goes, yeah, come on over here? Or do you want to go, what happened to all my customers?
Amazing. Thank you so much, Glenn. Thank you for joining us for another Tim Talks Live. Guys, this is Gold Nuggets. I'm sure you can pick up a few things, whether you're amazing and been crushing it on the DR side and selling cars online, or you're just putting your foot in the water. You can contact Glenn at pcgcompanies.com. Please reach out to me as well if you need help. Tim, whether you're a CarNow client or not, I don't care. We want to serve you. This year has been so special to us and our team as we have truly brought on a servant's heart, in our culture as we've kept stores open and service departments open. It's just been amazing. As always, please join us next week as well. And no one is smarter than everyone. And every single week, man, we're going to keep chopping wood and we are going to get better together. We will see you soon. Thank you so much.